This is Ag Matters PM from the Iowa Agribusiness Radio Network, your daily recap of the information that affects Iowa's farmers, producers, and consumers right here in the heart of the heartland. With reports from our award-winning team of Dustin Hoffman, Riley Smith, and Mark Magnuson. Now, from the IARN studios in Des Moines, here's Riley Smith.
Welcome into Ag Matters PM on the Iowa Agribusiness Radio Network. I'm Riley Smith. Today is Monday, January 6th of 2025, and we're so glad you can join us for today's show. In today's episode, I'll be talking with Kelli Wicks, the Director of Government Relations for the Iowa Cattlemen's Association. We'll also have a check of the closing markets with Sam Trainor of agmarket.net. But first, here's that conversation with Kelli Wicks as we discussed the policy victories in 2025 and what we're looking forward to in 2026.
And it's been a busy year in the policy landscape when it comes to the cattle industry. A lot of things been going on, whether it comes to here in the U.S. with administration policy, globally, a lot of things going on. Kelli, when it comes to the past year, what would you say was kind of the biggest victories?
Yeah, absolutely. Last year, there's, of course, no shortage of issues that we worked on. And so, of course, when we talk about the past state legislative session, we had some good momentum that we had and want to keep building on, of course. And so one of the big ones was expanded drone protections, especially over those farmsteads. And so producers have that peace of mind knowing that they are protected in their practices and have that freedom to operate. So that's a big one. And then, of course, the appropriations that were given to support for animal disease preparedness and prevention. And so we're really excited to keep working on that and ensuring that we have longevity and health of our herds.
And we know, especially when it comes to the drone protection, it was something that was on the minds of producers for a while, but it was tricky to get that to finally go through. And I know with kind of current administration, how things have been going, it's been a little more open to those policies. And I think we've seen that already, right?
Absolutely. Yeah, and I think it really just shows the importance that the administration has placed on the agricultural community in general. They know that this is the feed and fuel of the country, and so really protecting those producers is a top priority.
So then when it comes to other things that we're maybe hoping for to see in 2026, I know that there's plenty of things when it comes to a farm bill. We're always talking about that. Policy relations to maybe the border and the screwworm situation. What are some of those things that are highlighted for the industry in the coming year?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, if you look at the past several years of the cattle industry as a whole, there's been several different challenges coming with droughts, New World screwworm, border challenges. And so it's really important that we support the industry where it's at so that it can grow as it should. And so one of the key pieces that we're really focused on is CRP, the Conservation Reserve Program, making that a priority to where cattlemen can engage and be active in grazing those lands. Cattle are one of the original conservationists. So how can we operate and have those cattle prioritized in those conversations, because they benefit the land as long as they're properly managed and they're great for biodiversity and plant life. And so really emphasizing that and bringing that forth is going to be a huge priority as we continue.
And I know in general, it's been very open with this current administration to get a lot of policy discussion out there. They've been very open to that. There's still some things that we still need those producer voices out there because, certain things maybe need a little bit more discussion, maybe a little bit more producer knowledge. How important is that to get those producers up there? And I know I've been talking recently with the Farm Bureau that there's really unprecedented access to the White House to get your voice there.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I tell my producers all the time, you are your best storyteller. I mean, I can tell it from my perspective all the time, but it means so much more when you show up with your cowboy hat and your boots and they see and can hear about the stories that they are experiencing on their farm. And so it just means that much more, especially for your members of Congress and the White House to have that connection.
So Kelli, for any producers who would like to get in touch with Iowa Cattlemen, stay up to date on events where they can make their voices heard, how can they do that?
Yeah, I encourage them to become members of Iowa Cattlemen's Association. That is your backdoor access to policy and relations and getting things done that are proactive and beneficial to the industry. So really encourage membership and staying in touch with all that we do.
All right, Kelli, thanks again for your time and enjoy the rest of the convention.
Yeah, thank you.
Thanks again to Kelli Wicks, the Director of Government Relations for the Iowa Cattlemen's Association, for joining us on today's show. We'll go ahead now and look at the closing markets, and I'm here with Sam Trainor of agmarket.net. Sam, what do we see going on in the grain markets today?
Well, Riley, it was one of the very few days in my commodity trading experience that you look at the quote screen and every single contract on there showed green. It was green across the board today, not only in the grains, but livestock, energies, metals, even the stock market was higher today. So certainly a really good way to start off the 2026 year. I know we had a brief session there on Friday, but now we're back into a normal trade. Everybody's off vacation, it seems, and this will be our first full week of trading in the month of January and the year of 2026. So certainly good to see us start on a strong foot here today and recover most of those losses that we saw there on Friday and then a little bit more.
And then we have, by the end of this week, we should be caught up on those weekly export sales that we were missing from the government shutdown. Being caught up on those reports, does that do too much to the marketplace, or is that information that we largely pretty well have figured out already?
I think most traders have a pretty good pulse on where we're at here as far as exports, but it's certainly not going to hurt anything having a little bit more up-to-date information. And you hit the nail right on the head. So this morning we did see an export sales report that was good through Christmas Day. We will then get we'll be back on a normal schedule. Those export sales reports generally come out on Thursdays and are good through the previous week. That is going to be the case here this Thursday. We will get our first up-to-date export sales report here on Thursday. Commitment of traders report, which should have been out on Friday, will be out this afternoon. That was just pushed back due to the holiday. It would have been pushed back any other year just because of that holiday. That didn't have anything to do with the government shutdown. So this commitment of traders report coming out here at 2:00 today will be up to date. And then we also got an export inspections report here this morning. And that's back on its normal schedule as well. Those usually come out on Monday. So, yeah, finally getting back into the swing of things. It feels like it's taken way too long to get here, but we are finally here and back to some sort of normal.
And then looking at the livestock side of things, how did cattle and hogs trade today?
Yeah, like I said, more of the same here. Sharply higher, and I guess maybe not sharply higher, considering what you consider sharply higher here in cattle markets. I know 3 or 4 years ago, $2.50 move in feeders would have been considered sharply higher, but I guess anymore that just kind of seems like just another day. But nonetheless, higher in the cattle, and live cattle were also up about $1. And the hogs were up really sharply here, up $2.50 today. That's a really big move for that market. And I think it's just more of the same. Just continue to look at these herd sizes and the supply, which is very low here, and demand continues to be very high across all livestock complexes here. So continue to look for that story to remain the same. As you well know, it's going to take a long time to replenish this herd. So barring any unforeseen outside market headlines like we have seen in the past, anticipate this market to continue trending higher.
All right, Sam, lots of great information today. For anyone who would like to get in touch with agmarket.net, how can they do that?
Best way would be to visit our website or call us at 1-800-779-1515, and you'll reach either myself, Kurt, or Ethan here in the normal office.
All right, Sam, thanks again for the time as always, and we'll talk again soon.
All right, thanks, Riley.
That again was Sam Trainor of agmarket.net. We'll take a look at how the numbers close through the market window at iowaagnet.com. At the close, March corn up 7 even at 444.5. March soybeans up 16 1/4 at 1062 even. March soybean meal up 3.90 at 299.90. Soybean oil up 57 cents at 49.87. Chicago wheat up 6 even at 512.5. Kansas City hard red wheat up 5 3/4 at 520 3/4. March oats up 6 1/2 at 304.5. On the Merc, February live cattle down 12 at 235.87. January feeders up 287 at 358.97. February lean hogs up 205 at 86.15. February pork cutout went unchanged at 93.75, and January class 3 milk down 3 cents at 15.04. That's been a check in the markets here on Ag Matters PM, and that also brings us to the end of today's show. You can find all of our daily ag news content online at iowaagnet.com. From the Iowa Agribusiness Radio Network studios in Des Moines, I'm Riley Smith. On behalf of Mark Magnuson and Dustin Huffman, we thank you for watching. This has been Ag Matters PM.